We are back. We're back, everyone. I hope you didn't miss us too much. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Julia.
and she's Julia. Um, so we're just gonna get right back into the fun of DC, but first, a few things. I know we haven't posted all week, so here's our posting schedule. We will try to post every week, but sometimes we're traveling, or the internet's bad, or we slept. There's lots of reasons, asteroids that I can think of, alien invasion, right? But if we ever miss a week, like we technically did, on our time zone we did, then we will post two, I hope, videos this week.
We will attempt to.
Yes.
Should be
Yes.
okay.
Unless another alien invasion. Anyway, let's move on. The first is the Postal Museum. So
This is my favorite. Well, I mean, I love post and stamps, and I'm a collector, so this one makes me feel all nerdy.
right. So I promise I'm going to hit slide soon. But the Smithsonian's Postal Museum is located right next to Union Station, DC, also not far from where we were staying in our hotel. So let the fun begin.
All right, so first slide here, we've got a Washington stamp, first president,
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
also the first black postmaster. So thought it was pretty appropriate.
All right, here we go.
So we've got some Hawaii ones, whether it's the kingdom or the provisional government. There are way more than I thought there would be because I actually did look and none of them are repeats. So that's actually really neat. So I tried to get as many pictures of those that I could. And of course, because I was part of the Hawaiian mission houses, I also needed to have a picture of the missionary stamps there as well.
Ooh.
These are a few of our favorite places. So, for instance, this is Polynesia.
Oh, Polynesia.
And of course, where we will be living eventually.
Right. And we know it was behind like 3 inches of bulletproof glass, so I mean, like,
There's a
we're
little bit
trying.
of a glare here or there.
Just a little bit.
And of course, Southeast Asia.
Nom nom.
Places that we will
Delicious
journey to
food.
and eat, eventually through our
Future
travels.
videos. Future videos.
Future, way future.
Spoilers ahead.
Now, of course, I just really liked these. I thought they both came out well, and they're just kind of interesting. Different parts of Africa that you don't normally think about, different parts of the world that you don't normally think about, smaller countries, and I just thought these were just pretty nice. So we decided to share these as well.
That's a sharp picture.
Yes, so this is Liberia, the stamps for Liberia, and I just think that they're a pretty cool country. So there you go. And as some of you might know, I am a historian and big on, issues like imperialism and colonization. And while I do love post and postage and stamps, it is a sign of colonization around the world. So this is a very good example when India was quote unquote owned by England, and these were the stamps that were created.
Okay. We have unissued stamps from Jamaica. These are stamps that would never have gone into circulation or been stuck on a postcard or anything. But before we go and move on to the next exciting museum, I want to kind of describe it because we got too nerdy about the stamps. Not too nerdy, I didn't say that, but I want to kind of describe the general museum because when you enter it, it doesn't seem like you're in a museum because this is actually a functioning post office. And in the same building, there is an exhibit where all of these pictures are from, and that's all of the stamp collections. And they have, I don't know, millions of stamps. Because you're going around and there's little drawers that have stamps from every era of American and world history. Really impressive. But even that's not the entire museum, because there's another direction that takes you downstairs, which, considering you're on ground level, is somewhat impressive. And it opens up. It has all the vehicles, from a plane to multiple vehicles, like the evolution of the ground transportation, the postal vehicles, and even a train that kids can walk around and have fun that way. Yes, there's a shop. Don't worry, they're going to get their shop there, to a gift shop. But there's also other special exhibits. There was one about people who were specifically the police, their own law enforcement that tracked down any crimes committed through the Postal Service. And there's the technology exhibit, and something about the Pony Express that kind of shows you they are a little younger. Some of their side exhibits, they definitely don't seem geared towards the wider audience, and that's okay. So that's why I don't think it interests us very much. But okay, that was fun, and I still recommend this free museum. A lot of fun for anybody interested in stamps. And let's move on. We have just moved on. So, the National Museum of the American Indian. Yes, I can read it. So we're about to go inside and show you the cool inside and everything like that. But before we do, a lot of people take issue with the word Indian. And so I just really briefly, it's the Bureau of Indian Affairs. This is the Smithsonian's, our official museum, National Museum of American Indian. It seems like Howley's white people have more of an issue with the term Indian than the people who it's referring to. So let's just move on.
All right, next slide. So this is a memorial.
It actually is outside. I kind of set that up wrong. Sorry.
And the first slide there is the actual monument. The second slide shows the different flags of the different Native groups that had fought in various wars, flags that were attached, or other symbols, and of course...
Right, so what this is this is a memorial to veterans who are Indians. So some of these have the flags from their units, and others have to do with their tribal affiliations, but these seals in the far right are all of the branches of the military. So no one is forgotten. Shall we?
Moving on.
Now we're inside.
Now we're inside. I just really like this. I love blue, and I just thought these were really just kind of one of my more favorite decorations, but you can read what these are about. What a statue. I mean, it's pretty awesome. The room is huge. I would say 50 people could fit in the room, and it's just this dedication room with, of course, the map of Americas in the background.
Right. And this is kind of an atrium on one of the floors. This isn't like the main entrance. The main entrance is massive, but this is just, you turn through here, you hear, and then you kind of move on with the rest of the exhibit. I will say, just as a FYI, that when we were there was a lot of changing over of exhibits, so we didn't get to see the entire museum because parts of it were closed as they switch over. Understandably, it's a museum, it happens. All right, let's move on.
The museum was kind of separated into the historical and the cultural parts, and then some pop culture parts. So this is obviously some of the history, the political history, and of course treaties were a big thing between the colonists and the native people groups, or excuse me, the Indian groups. But of course we know through history that treaties were often broken by the very people who designed them. So you can kind of read all of that up yourself. I did include language. Being from Hawaii, language and the erasure of language is almost as detrimental as the seizure of land. So I included that too. and some cultural aspects between dress and the hide and different, weapons that they might have had or tools that they had. So just a little bit of a display of everything.
All about sort of these various treaties in much more detail than we can give you in a few minutes. Sorry.
The first graph here we're going to get a little bit political, a little bit ranty.
You doing left or right?
So the one on the left is it's an infograph of as the colonists became, or I should say the white immigrants from Europe, started to come over more and more rapidly, so did the decline of the native peoples, the Indian peoples. The second slide, so problematic. So in our past, we had decided that white people should no longer be the head of the Department of Indian Affairs. And so we thought in our great wisdom to elect Daniel Inouye, who is not Indian or Native American, but because he's a man of color, it was okay. No, I mean, obviously we have issues with that, but just to point out a few things. And here we go, good old pop culture.
So we're going to be going through a number of slides that are specifically showing how Indians were depicted, and these aren't particularly good ones. I think, if I'm correct, we start with the oldest and we sort of start moving.
Yes, we start with kind of the older looks of different art, and then we move a little bit more forward in time.
Okay.
So this is I Love Ginger Ale, and this is one of the first ginger ale ads.
Right.
So that's nice.
We don't got to say something about every one of them, but here we go.
And of course, some of these
Evening Post.
Some of these older images. So these obviously are Indian men, and they're often portrayed as the same as the proper coloring, but they're often dark in the sense that they're ominous or they're trying to overtake, as opposed to the other way around.
Right.
And of course, Indian women are portrayed as gentler, softer, but aren't they white as can be? So, they basically gave her brunette hair and a feather. So, interesting.
And even Peanuts gets in on the game.
And, so we did go and see this museum on Thanksgiving Day because that's who we are.
Of course we are, right? Like, this is very on brand, isn't it?
And the next few shows how these kinds of things targeted children, from candles to Sunday morning comics. And of course, this is us as a country being a little bit more woke, I guess, with our representation. So we've got dolls between Barbie and the American Girl dolls. Now, of course, it is a debate amongst their communities on whether this is representation or appropriation. I have my opinions, but they don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it is problematic when it's just tokenism at best. Yes. But boy, that blue looks very neonish. Is this the 80s? Never mind. Let's move on. Oh, yes. Okay. So I was in the Boy Scouts of America, and this is the Order of the Arrow. And specifically, that's what Brotherhood looks like. So there are 3 levels of Order of the Arrow. The first one is just the arrow. The second one has those 2 bars. And the third one has a triangle in the center of the arrow, and it's called Vigil. So Brotherhood this is all very problematic stuff. To get into the Order of the Arrow, the ceremonies are supposedly based on Native Indian ceremonies where white people and other colors in America will dress up as and do various ceremonies, and even our secret phrasings is all based on the Lene Lenape. And how accurate is that? I don't know, but I certainly have never heard that they had permission for any of this. We need to look carefully at ourselves as well as looking at other deep past. It's not just things that have been finished.
And this is our last slide for the museum. It's a sampling of the pictures we had, but hopefully it gives you an idea of a little bit of the history and past of our country.
Right, and I know this was a little bit more serious of a video, but it's the museums. We don't shy away from what the museum tells you, and if you're interested in this kind of history, these are great museums. Also, remember, all Smithsonians are free, so free is a good price.
Yes, free is always great. And this is free education and visuals and just literally pieces of history walking through. So
Right.
we hope you enjoyed it.
And next time we'll have even more museums still in DC and only a few days away. Here we go. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.